Hi people, it's Muli Musyoka IAT trichologist. It's good to be back on this platform and to see you again. And I promise that I will share a bit of the information that I was going to be sharing at the World Trichology Conference in London a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, I had a fantastic experience in London, learned a lot, of course, from other trichologists and doctors across the world. And definitely we shared a lot in regards to the subject that I was handling. The subject I was handling is something called centrocentrifugal cicatricial alopecia. Pathologists will call it centrocentrifugal scarring alopecia because cicatricial means, or cicatricial means, scarring form of hair loss. And this is a condition that has been seen predominantly in women of African descent. And recently we're seeing it in men of African descent, particularly men who wear locks. Men now are braiding their hair, or they use chemicals, they use colors, they use peroxides on their scalp or on their hair. There is nothing wrong with these products to be used on the hair. But again, I'm just saying people who use that appear to be more predisposed to this condition. Now, what is CCCA? This is an acquired, or it's a unique autoimmune problem, which you might not be genetically predisposed to the problem, but it might be acquired post some activities. And we see it predominantly in women of African descent because they tend to have strainers hairstyles like braids. We tend to do dreadlocks that are tightly manicured, and that starts forming an inflammation, micro-inflammation around the follicles on this particular area. And if that activity continues, then we've seen it converting, or the micro-inflammation converting into full-blown inflammation, where white blood cells then start an idiopathic activity against your hair follicles. And that leads to a collapse of what we call the inner root sheath. The inner root sheath is the connective tissues that lock your hair firmly into the scalp. The moment there is premature disformation or peeling off of the inner root sheath, then we experience people losing hair and the follicles tend to collapse. The other thing is any form of chemicals applied on that have been blamed. We do not have sufficient studies that clearly say that we have one or two specific things that trigger or cause CCCA. However, what we've seen is that the repeated use of chemicals and the repeated strainers activity of hairstyles then trigger a stressor onto the hair follicle and leads to the collapse of the hair follicle, or leads to a production of something we call substance P, which then leads to pushing the hair follicles from the growing phase to the shedding phase, where then you start kicking out hair strands prematurely, and then you lose the hair follicles in the long term. What we see, or what people will complain about, is a rough terrain on the top area. The scalp might feel like it has bumps. It might feel like you have a burning sensation, soreness, itching, and then loss of hair loss in a circular patch, and hence the name. Centro is this central part of the scalp. Centrifugal means in a circular manner. Cicatricial or scarring means that you lose the hair follicles permanently. Hence you lose hair loss, and alopecia is simply hair loss. But the key thing is the moment you start feeling that burning sensation, that itching and that inflammation around that area, it is important to be checked and know what exactly is happening. If it has been manifesting for a period of time, it becomes very difficult to reverse CCCA. My encouragement to you is that the moment you start feeling that soreness, that itchiness, that rough terrain on your scalp in the middle area, please make sure that you get checked, and checked in good time. Of course, sometimes it might not be diagnosed at the first step. Some biopsies might need to be run, or scalp samples for pathological analysis before then a complete diagnosis is met, and then the correct treatment stipulated for treating the condition. Yeah, so I had a fantastic time in London. I gave my lecture and I had a lot of joy as I lectured about the things that we're seeing in Kenya with predominantly Afro-ethnic type of hair. And we hope to be in a position to keep helping you to keep your hair growing. And please give us a call and we will be happy to assist.